connected, so it was full. I'm entering a toilet instead of the exit door, and yeah, it's cool in here. That's a brush, toothpaste, nail clippers. Well, they still floss in the distant future. Cybernetic ointment, okay. That was mildly interesting, yes, thank you. On my way to Port Olisar. Cool elevator. Let's hope things go interestingly. If that's even a word. I'm an idiot savant. Don't judge. My savant areas is in the area of turrets. Damn, I could design a turret system for a game. Holy shit. Could I design a turret system for a game? I am the turret master. I mean, I originally played Counter-Strike. It's interesting. Got bored of being, well, it's Counter-Strike and Half-Life. I got bored and burnt out on just run and gun on foot mechanics, so moved on to vehicles. Vehicles are interesting. First, it was an obsession with the APC from Counter-Strike, which was pretty cool, but that thing was just horrible. It was useless and it was horrible. Not the best introduction to vehicles. And combine that with the fascination with Genome of all games. This was a mech game from like the 1990s, where you could pilot mechs, and it was a little bit different than on foot, but it's still things that walked and shot guns. The thing that really fascinated me was during one of the early missions, there was a tank, and you had to get in the back of the tank, and then the tank would drive you somewhere, and you'd sit in the back with this what sounded like elevator music playing, and I remember this music to this day. It's like dun 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 boom 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 dun 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 dun. And that music just stuck in my head ever since, because it was something that had never happened in a game before. I'd never been, well, I suppose you could consider the tram to be a vehicle of sorts, you know, in Half-Life. But for some reason, that tank just stuck in my memory. It was like the first multi-crew vehicle. Ooh, crikey, that was just in time. Yeah, that really fascinated me. It's like, whoa, vehicles with interiors. Now that's interesting. I just wish I could get up out of the seat and walk around. That would be cool, and look out the windows. But you couldn't, because it was just basically. I think it was basically a 2D screen that looked 3D. It had a little out screen that showed you the outside world. Now that whetted my appetite for in-vehicle stuff. So from then on, I was just obsessed with vehicles. I was always interested in vehicles and aircraft and anything that moved and had an engine in a game. All I wanted was to just ride around in it while it drove around. And so next thing is Battlefield. And this is where Battlefield 1942 came into play. I wanted to play that, so first started driving tanks and stuff, the usual stuff. But then I'm thinking, yeah, right, I've gotten bored of shooting tanks and driving tanks and being the main, like one guy controlling the whole vehicle. Now, is there anything else we can do with vehicles? And I thought, oh, there's a turret on the top. So I started like manning the turret. I mean, sure, it was shit, but it was different. And I was just like, these turrets, they were completely useless. They exposed you, they made you vulnerable. They weren't even that effective because they weren't stabilized, and they didn't even kill people particularly quickly. They were like, the equivalent of a light machine gun. If you carried a light machine gun in your hands, they're about equivalent to that. Only shit, because your aim was being thrown around all the place, and you were really vulnerable and couldn't take cover and stuff. But I tried my best to make them work, and I kind of got decent. Did my best. And then I started getting into plane turrets. And that's where it really went to shit, because, as I said earlier, bomber turrets they were bloody useless. They had so much potential because it's so fun. Flying this big bomber with guns. It's awesome for a kid. It was bloody awesome. But they were functionally useless because the guns weren't that powerful. There was no stabilization. The fighters were quick and hard to hit. They also killed bombers pretty damn quickly. You know, the firepower on was enough to kill a bomber pretty quickly. And the bullets were super accurate, as in they were just laser line of bullets. So you'd end up just swinging this laser line of bullets around a fighter, never actually bloody hitting them, because the guns are too accurate. And as I explained before, if you put some spread on them guns, they were actually pretty good. You had to put spread on them though to make, you know, so you had an area that you'd aim, you'd put around the fighter. You know, you'd have an area, like a circle, which you'd put around the area where you'd need to lead ahead to hit the fighter. You know, enough skill to put that area in the right place where it needed to be to then hit them with random number generator bullets. You know, randomly sprayed bullets. Now, the best turret in that game was basically meant to be a shit turret because, to the game designers, I guess it had lesser stats. But what they'd done is they'd given it spread. They'd made it inaccurate. So suddenly that became the best turret, and that was a pretty good turret in the back of the G4M bomber in the Forgotten Hope mod. I had a bit of fun with that. And through the years, I've played so many different turrets, and I've always been disappointed with them. They've never really lived up to what they should. You know, they never really. That's the thing. Turrets were never worth a player slot. On say a 32-man server, having a guy in a turret, you're basically down a man. He might have been to do a little bit, but he just wasn't worth a player slot in the turret. It was basically a glorified passenger seat, pretty much, and oftentimes it was a vulnerable passenger seat. Yeah. So yeah, I know a lot about turrets, and I know how to build good turret systems because I've thought about it for like 15 years. I've basically been designing turret systems for games in my head for 15 years. If CIG hired me to design their turrets, it would be fucking interesting and fun and effective and unique. I have a unique idea for a turret system, and it wouldn't actually be all that complicated. It's just it's a simple but interesting idea. I'll explain that later.